Your life right now is a result of the choices you've made, but every day gives you the chance to take control. Discipline is not something you have, it's something you build. It's not just about working harder or pushing longer. It's about creating habits, routines, and a mindset that turn effort into results. Today you will learn how to transform discipline from a task into a lifestyle that shapes your success, your confidence, and your future. This video will guide you step by step to build focus, energy, and consistency that lasts. Watch closely, because the way you act after this video will define the rest of your life. Chapter 1. Learn to respect your promises to yourself. You are standing in a moment that most people ignore, the moment where you get honest with yourself, the moment where you look at your choices, your patterns, and the way you've been living, and you finally admit that something needs to change. Not tomorrow. Not someday. It starts right now. This chapter is about something personal, something that decides the direction of your entire life. It's about respecting your promises to yourself, not the promises you make to impress others, not the promises you make in public, the promises you make when you're alone, the ones nobody else sees, the ones that reveal who you really are when everything is quiet. Every person has goals, every person has dreams, but not every person has trust in themselves. Many people walk around with a long list of things they said they would do but never did. They carry guilt, frustration, and disappointment that builds up year after year. They feel the weight of every abandoned plan, every skipped commitment, every moment where they said they would show up but didn't. You may know that feeling, that moment where you said you would wake up early, but you stayed in bed. You said you would stop wasting time, but you didn't follow through. You said you would change your lifestyle, but you went back to old habits. You weren't lazy. You weren't weak. You were disconnected from your own promises. You treated your words like they didn't matter. And the truth is simple: when your own promises feel optional, discipline becomes impossible. So this chapter is about rebuilding that trust. It's about learning to respect what you say to yourself, the same way you would respect a promise you make to someone you care about, because you should care about yourself that much. You deserve that level of respect. This change begins quietly. There's no music behind it. There's no crowd cheering you on. It begins inside your mind. It begins with one clear decision: I will no longer break my own word. When you say something to yourself, it becomes a commitment. You don't whisper it. You don't treat it like a small thing. You treat it like a serious agreement. You treat it like something that shapes your future. But to make this possible, you need to understand why your promises have lost power over time. Most people create promises out of emotion, not intention. They decide to change when they feel excited or motivated. They say they will do something big without preparing themselves for the difficulty that comes later. Then, when the excitement fades, they run into resistance, they struggle, and they break the promise. After doing this enough times, their own promises start to feel cheap. They lose trust in themselves. To rebuild trust, you don't need louder goals. You don't need bigger promises. You need promises that are real, honest, and small enough to keep every single time. The goal isn't to impress yourself. The goal is to strengthen the connection between your word and your action. So start with something simple, something that doesn't overwhelm you. For example, instead of saying you will overhaul your entire routine tomorrow, make one clear promise you can do today. Wake up at the time you said you would. Drink water before anything else in the morning. Spend 10 minutes organizing your space. Move your body for a few minutes. These actions may feel small, but they rebuild something powerful inside you. Every time you follow through, you send a message to yourself: I can trust my own word again. That message is worth more than motivation. It builds a deeper sense of strength. It builds discipline from the inside out. When you begin this process, you will feel a shift. You will notice that your promises start to carry more weight. You will feel more aware of the difference between saying something and meaning it. You will stop making promises you don't plan to keep. You will stop setting unrealistic expectations that only make you feel discouraged. You will think before you commit. You will choose your words with care. This new approach changes your identity. It changes your relationship with yourself. Because discipline isn't only about action. It's about the way you speak to yourself. It's about the way you behave when nobody is watching. There will be days when you feel tired. Days when you don't want to follow through. Days when your old patterns try to pull you back into comfort. But this is where you remind yourself. Your promise is not based on your feelings. Your promise is based on your decision. Your feelings may shift from day to day, but your commitments stay the same. That's how discipline turns into lifestyle. Not through force, not through pressure, through respect, through honoring your own voice. You deserve to be someone you trust. You deserve to be someone you can rely on. When you say you will do something, you should feel sure that you will. There should be no doubt, no hesitation, no negotiation. This kind of relationship with yourself creates peace. It creates confidence. It creates a life where you move with direction instead of confusion. You feel clear about who you are becoming. You stop looking for motivation from outside sources. You stop searching for constant reminders. You stop needing someone to push you. You become your own source of direction. When you respect your promises, you gain power. You gain control. You gain a level of stability that most people never reach. Imagine waking up knowing that everything you said you would do will get done. Imagine living with a mind that doesn't argue with itself. Imagine building a life where your actions match your goals every day. That is what discipline becomes when it turns into lifestyle. It becomes who you are, not something you force. So here is the truth that many avoid. Your lifestyle begins with one promise at a time. Not a long list, not a complicated plan. One promise, one decision, one completion, then another, and another. You build your discipline the same way you build strength in your body, with consistent effort that grows over time. You don't rush, you don't pressure yourself. You follow through with care and honesty. You learn to enjoy the feeling of keeping your own word. You learn to enjoy the sense of pride that comes from completing what you said you would do. You learn to value yourself in a new way. And slowly your life changes. Your habits change. Your mindset changes. Your confidence grows. Your direction becomes clearer. You no longer feel stuck in your old cycles. You no longer feel like someone who gives up on themselves. You start to feel capable, steady, and grounded. This is the beginning of a disciplined life. A lifestyle where your actions match your values. A lifestyle where you build trust brick by brick, day by day. You are not here to rush. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to become someone you respect, someone you rely on, someone who honors every promise they make to themselves. That journey starts now, and you are capable of every step that follows. Chapter 2. Build days that follow a clear pattern. There comes a point where discipline stops being about forcing yourself and starts being about the way you design your day. Not a perfect day, not a strict day. A day with a clear pattern you can follow without stress, without confusion, without guessing what comes next. When your days have structure, your life becomes easier to manage. You stop wasting time trying to figure out what you should do. You stop bouncing between tasks. You stop feeling scattered. You move with direction. You move with purpose. You move with calm. Most people wake up with no pattern at all. They open their eyes and immediately react to whatever pulls their attention first. A notification, a random thought, a distraction, a problem. From that moment on, the day carries them instead of them carrying the day. You've probably lived days like that, days where everything felt unplanned and everything felt urgent. Days where you reached the evening and wondered where all the hours went. Days where nothing meaningful was completed because the day had no shape, no order, no intention. This chapter is about changing that. It's about teaching yourself to build days that follow a clear pattern so your mind stays grounded and your progress becomes steady. Not a tight schedule that drains your energy, but a simple rhythm that keeps you anchored. The pattern you build is personal. It reflects your goals, your responsibilities, and what matters to you. But the foundation is the same for everyone. Create a day that supports your growth instead of pulling you away from it. To build this kind of day, you first need clarity. You need to understand what your day should contain. You need to know what actions move you forward. You need to know what habits keep you balanced. You need to know what tasks deserve your time. Without this clarity, every day feels random. You move from one thing to the next. Without intention, you get lost in tasks that don't truly matter. You spend energy on things that don't change you. So start by identifying the core parts of your day. These are the pieces you want to repeat daily. The pieces that form the spine of your routine. They might include your wake-up time, a quiet moment to get centered, movement or exercise, a period of focused work, time for responsibilities, time for rest, time for personal growth. You don't need to fill every minute. You only need to create a pattern you can rely on. A pattern that brings order into your life without suffocating your freedom. Once you know the pieces, you stack them in a way that makes sense for you. For example, you might build a morning that always starts the same way. You wake up at a consistent time. You hydrate. You get your body moving. You prepare your mind before diving into work. Then you might set a block of time during the day where you handle your most important tasks. Not 50 tasks. Not everything you could possibly do. Only the tasks that matter for your growth and responsibilities. Later you might create an evening pattern that helps you unwind, reflect and prepare for the next day. This could be disconnecting from distractions, organizing a small area, reviewing what you accomplished, and giving yourself a moment of quiet before sleep. These pieces do not need to be perfect or rigid. They only need to be consistent. When your day has a pattern, you don't wake up lost. You wake up with direction. You wake up with a sense of order. You know what comes next. But building this structure requires discipline in the beginning. Your mind might resist it. Your old habits might pull you toward chaos. You may want to skip steps. You may want to stay comfortable. This resistance is normal. It's part of the transition from disorder to structure. You are not just changing your day. You are changing the way your mind responds to your day. The first few days might feel strange. You might feel like the pattern is too simple, too repetitive, or not exciting enough. But give it time. Once your body and mind adjust, your pattern becomes natural. It becomes the new baseline. It becomes something you follow even on difficult days. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to build a day with too many rules. They fill their schedule until it feels suffocating. They try to control every minute. They treat discipline like punishment instead of support. You don't need a day that overwhelms you. You need a day that guides you. A day that creates space for progress without draining your energy. So keep your pattern simple. Remove anything that doesn't truly matter. Focus on a few repeated actions that build strength in your mind and consistency in your life. As you follow your pattern, you will notice something important. You will start finishing more of what you start. You will stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You will feel less overwhelmed. You will feel more in control. This structure doesn't take your freedom away. It gives you more freedom. It frees you from confusion. It frees you from stress. It frees you from the chaos that comes with unplanned days. When you know what your day looks like, you create space for deeper focus. You create room for your goals. You create stability in your mind. There will be days when you fall out of pattern. Life will interrupt you sometimes. Unexpected problems will come up. But the beauty of a clear pattern is that it always gives you a place to return to. You never feel lost for long. You always know how to get back on track. You don't need to judge yourself when you break the pattern. You don't need to feel guilty. You simply pick it up again the next day. That alone builds discipline. A consistent pattern also protects your energy, because when your day has structure, you spend less time making decisions. You spend less time negotiating with yourself. You spend less time wondering what to do next. Decision fatigue drains more people than they realize. When every day begins with uncertainty, the mind becomes tired before the day even starts. A clear pattern removes that pressure. It allows you to move with simplicity. Your pattern becomes a source of stability. When life feels stressful, it keeps your mind calm. It keeps your goals in sight. It keeps you from drifting back into old habits. And with time, this structure becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a normal part of your identity. You start to feel uncomfortable when the pattern is missing. You start to crave order, direction, and clarity. This is where discipline strengthens, not through forcing yourself to do difficult things every day, but through building a life that naturally supports good choices. A clear pattern shapes your mindset. It shapes your emotions. It shapes the way you view your responsibilities. You become more patient. You become more organized. You become more focused. You stop rushing. You stop reacting. You stop living in a scattered state. You start living with intention. You start living with balance. You start living with purpose. Your days become smoother. Your mind becomes lighter. Your progress becomes consistent. Good days stop being a rare event. They become your normal. This chapter is not about perfection. It is not about controlling every detail. It is about creating a stable rhythm that supports the person you want to become. A life of discipline is not built through once-in-a-while effort. It is built through daily patterns that keep you steady. Patterns that remind you of your goals. Patterns that reduce confusion. Patterns that allow you to grow one day at a time. You deserve days filled with clarity instead of chaos. You deserve days that move you forward instead of holding you back. You deserve a lifestyle that supports your future. Building days that follow a clear pattern is one of the strongest steps toward that future. You are capable of creating this structure. You are capable of following it. You are capable of building a life that feels controlled, stable, and meaningful. Your new pattern begins now. One simple day at a time. Chapter 3. Remove the distractions that keep you stuck. Every person has goals they want to reach, habits they want to build, and changes they want to make. But most people never get there, not because they lack talent, not because they lack intelligence, and not because life is unfair. They stay stuck because they live in a world full of distractions they never learned to control. You already know what distractions feel like. You sit down to do something important, and suddenly your attention shifts. A notification pulls your eyes away. A thought leads you into something unnecessary. A moment of boredom pushes you toward easy comfort. Before you even realize what happened, your time has slipped away. Distraction has become the standard way of living for many people. It steals hours without making any noise. It drains focus without warning. It turns simple tasks into long, exhausting efforts because your mind keeps getting pulled into other things. But this chapter is not about blaming distractions. It's about taking back control of your life by removing the things that keep you stuck. It's about understanding how powerful your attention is and how much your life changes when you protect it. This begins with an honest look at what actually distracts you. Many people claim they want to be disciplined, but they never stop to examine the things that constantly interrupt their progress. They try to build strong habits while leaving the door wide open for distractions to walk in at any moment. So the first step is awareness. You need to know where your attention goes when you drift away from your goals. You need to know what pulls you off track. You need to know what steals your hours. For some people, the biggest distraction is their phone. It has become the first thing they touch in the morning and the last thing they hold at night. The moment they feel even a small amount of discomfort or boredom, they reach for it. They scroll without thinking, without intention, without limits. For others, the distractions come from their environment. A noisy room, a cluttered space, people who constantly interrupt them, tasks they take on because they don't want to say no. Some distractions come from inside the mind: worry, overthinking, mental clutter, jumping from thought to thought without grounding yourself. And some distractions come from habits built over many years, habits that feel normal, even though they are slowly destroying progress. To remove distractions, you need to stop pretending you can rise above them with willpower alone. You don't need more strength. You need a cleaner environment, a quieter space, a simpler routine, a mind that is not overloaded. You build discipline not by fighting distractions every hour, but by designing a life where distractions lose their power. Start with your physical space. Look around the area where you work, rest, and spend your time. If the space is cluttered, your mind will feel scattered. If the space is filled with things that pull your eyes in every direction, your focus will never feel steady. A clean environment supports a clean mind. You don't need perfection. You only need a space that keeps you calm and stable. Remove the items that constantly pull you away from your tasks. Put your phone in another room when you need deep focus. Turn off notifications that don't matter. Keep your workspace simple enough that your mind doesn't drift into unnecessary areas. Then move to your digital space. Many people don't realize how much time they lose because their digital life is chaotic. Dozens of apps competing for attention, endless content designed to distract, a constant flow of noise that never stops. To break free, you need to take this seriously. You need to decide what is useful and what is not. You need to delete apps that add nothing to your growth. You need to control when you check social platforms instead of letting them control you. Your mind deserves peace. It deserves space to breathe. It deserves a life that isn't constantly interrupted. Next, examine your habits. Many distractions appear because you have trained your mind to search for quick comfort instead of staying with what matters. Every time you avoid discomfort by escaping into distraction, you strengthen the habit of running away. But when you stay present, even for a few seconds longer, you build mental strength. You begin rewiring your patterns. You teach yourself that discomfort is temporary and manageable. You teach yourself that your focus is stronger than your cravings. When you sit down to work and feel the urge to check your phone, breathe instead. When you feel bored and want to open a new tab, pause. When you want to escape into entertainment instead of finishing your responsibilities, remind yourself that your choices shape your future. These small moments are where discipline grows. Removing distractions is not just about cleaning your environment, it's about retraining your mind to stay with what matters. Another important step is recognizing the people who drain your time and energy. Not everyone deserves access to your attention. Some people constantly pull you into their problems, their drama, their conversations that go nowhere. Some interrupt your work because they don't value your focus. You are allowed to protect your time. You are allowed to create boundaries. You are allowed to say, I need this time for myself. Your life will never change if you keep giving your attention to everything and everyone. You need to choose where your energy goes. You need to choose what you allow into your day. Removing distractions also means simplifying your priorities. Many people feel overwhelmed, not because they have too much to do, but because they try to do too many things at the same time. They carry a long list of tasks and jump between them repeatedly. But focus only grows when you work on one thing at a time. Pick what matters most. Finish it. Move to the next. Slow down enough to complete things with intention instead of rushing through everything. A simple list is more powerful than a long one. A single completed task is more valuable than a dozen half-started ones. When you remove distractions, you allow yourself to feel progress again. You allow yourself to move with clarity. You allow your mind to breathe. You will notice that your stress decreases. Your days feel smoother. Your thoughts become clearer. You develop a sense of control over your life. Distractions create chaos. Removing them creates peace. As you free yourself from distractions, your confidence grows. You begin to believe in your ability to stay focused. You begin to feel proud of your effort. You begin to experience hours that feel productive instead of wasted. This transformation doesn't happen instantly. It requires small steps repeated daily. Each distraction you remove makes room for more clarity. Each environment you simplify makes room for more progress. Each boundary you set makes room for more growth. Removing distractions is a form of respect for your future. It is a signal that you take your goals seriously. It is a sign that you value your time, your focus, and your mind. You are not removing distractions to live a strict or boring life. You are removing them so you can live a life filled with purpose. A life where you don't constantly feel behind. A life where you move forward instead of circling the same problems. This chapter is about freedom. Freedom from noise. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from wasted time. You deserve that freedom. You deserve days that support your growth instead of stealing it. You deserve a mind that feels steady instead of scattered. Once you remove the distractions that keep you stuck, you will discover something powerful. The discipline you've been struggling to build becomes easier. Not because you suddenly changed, but because you created a life that helps you stay focused. Your progress becomes faster. Your habits become stronger. Your goals feel closer. Your mind feels clearer. And you finally start moving forward. Chapter 4. Build energy through healthy daily choices. There is a point in your journey where discipline stops being about pushing through exhaustion and starts being about taking care of your body, your mind, and your energy. Discipline becomes easier when you have the strength to support it. A tired body resists progress. A drained mind avoids responsibility. A stressed heart shuts down motivation. To build discipline that lasts, you need energy that lasts. Not a temporary burst, not a forced push, real energy that comes from the choices you make every day. This chapter is about those choices. It is about the small decisions that quietly shape how you feel. It is about building a life where your body and mind work with you instead of against you. People often think discipline is only about tough effort or long hours of work. But real discipline starts long before you sit down to work. It starts with your sleep. It starts with how you feed your body. It starts with how you move. It starts with what you allow into your mind. When you wake up tired, your focus drops. When you eat foods that drain you, your mood falls. When you avoid movement, your body becomes stiff and heavy. When your thoughts are negative, your energy fades. Every choice you make adds up. Every decision influences how strong or weak you feel throughout the day. So you begin by paying attention to the basics: sleep, nutrition, movement, hydration, mental habits, and stress management. These are not optional. They form the foundation of a stable, energized life. Start with sleep. Many people treat sleep like something they can sacrifice. They stay up scrolling. They stay awake even when their body is asking for rest. They try to function on a few hours and expect their mind to stay sharp. But your body is not a machine. It needs real recovery. When you sleep well, your mind becomes clearer, your emotions become calmer, and your decisions become stronger. You wake up with more patience, more focus, and more balance. A healthy sleep routine begins with consistency. Waking up at the same time each day builds a rhythm in your body. It helps you feel refreshed instead of foggy. It also requires reducing overstimulation before bed. Bright screens, loud noise, and constant activity keep your mind restless. Giving yourself a quiet moment before sleep allows your body to soften and settle. The next source of energy is the way you nourish your body. Food is not just something you consume out of habit. It affects the way you think, feel, and function. When your meals are filled with heavy processed foods, your energy crashes. When you eat too fast or at random times, your digestion becomes unstable. When you skip nourishing meals and replace them with quick snacks, your mood becomes unpredictable. You don't need a strict diet. You don't need complicated rules. You only need awareness and balance. Choose meals that support your body instead of draining it. Choose foods that help you feel light, clear, and steady. Eat at times that help your body function smoothly. Even small changes such as eating slower, drinking more water, and avoiding overeating can transform your energy. You begin to feel more awake, more stable, and more in control of your day. Hydration is another simple but powerful part of your energy. Many people live dehydrated without realizing it. They feel dizzy, tired, irritable, or unfocused. They blame stress or lack of sleep, but often the body is simply asking for more water. A hydrated body feels more alive. Your joints feel smoother. Your mind feels clearer. Your mood becomes more stable. Carrying water with you and drinking throughout the day is one of the easiest ways to boost your energy. Movement is another essential element. A stagnant body creates a stagnant mind. When you sit for long hours, your muscles tighten, your blood flow slows, and your energy drops. Even short and simple movement can bring your body back to life. Movement does not have to be extreme. You don't need hours of exercise. You only need to engage your body daily, stretching, walking, breathing deeply, or doing short exercises that wake you up. When you move regularly, stress leaves your body. Your mood lifts. Your confidence rises. You feel more capable, more present, and more alive. Your energy is also affected by the thoughts you carry. Negative thinking drains you more than physical exhaustion. Complaints, self-judgment, and constant worry create emotional tension that stays with you throughout the day. To build energy, you need to build a healthier conversation with yourself. You need to speak to yourself in a way that lifts you instead of breaks you. You need to remind yourself that you are capable, that you are learning, and that growing takes time. When your internal voice becomes supportive, your energy expands. You no longer waste strength on self-criticism. You no longer drain yourself with doubt. You build emotional power from the inside. Another important part of energy is reducing mental clutter. Many people carry too many tasks, too many reminders, and too many worries in their mind at once. This creates constant stress, even when nothing is happening around them. Writing down your tasks, organizing your thoughts, and breaking things into simple steps can free your mind. It allows you to focus without feeling overwhelmed. When your mind feels lighter, your energy rises naturally. You also need moments of physical and emotional reset. You are not meant to run non-stop. Your body needs short breaks to recover. Your mind needs pauses to refresh. Even a few minutes of slow breathing, quiet sitting or stepping outside for fresh air can restore your energy. When you learn to pause instead of pushing through exhaustion, your productivity increases and your stress decreases. Healthy daily choices also include protecting yourself from overstimulation. Constant noise, endless notifications, and heavy digital exposure drain your nervous system. They keep your mind active long after you stop using them. Reducing screen time, lowering the volume of digital input, and choosing quiet moments throughout the day help restore your inner calm. Peace is not something you find, it is something you create through your lifestyle. Another powerful way to build energy is through meaningful connection. Spending time with people who support you, encourage you, and help you feel understood can lift your spirit. Healthy relationships create emotional strength. They remind you that you are not alone. On the other hand, draining relationships can exhaust you. Arguments, pressure, negativity, and emotional tension take away your energy. You need to be honest with yourself about the people in your life. Protect your energy by choosing relationships that bring peace, not stress. Your energy also increases when you live in alignment with your values. When your actions match who you want to be, you feel lighter and more confident. When you ignore your values, you feel conflicted, stressed, and disconnected. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your values, whether it is honesty, kindness, discipline, or responsibility, you strengthen your sense of self. This gives you mental and emotional energy that lasts. Another important part of building energy is managing your expectations. Many people drain themselves by expecting perfection. They push and push until they burn out. They carry pressure that steals their joy. You build more energy when you allow yourself to be human. When you accept that progress takes time. When you understand that rest is part of growth. You don't need perfect days. You only need consistent days. Consistency is easier when your body and mind feel supported. Healthy daily choices are not dramatic changes. They are gentle shifts that build a foundation of strength. A little more sleep, a little more water, a little movement, a small pause when stress rises, a healthier meal, a supportive inner voice. When these small choices become your routine, everything in your life becomes easier. Discipline becomes natural. Focus becomes steady. Motivation becomes stable. Your days feel smoother, and your accomplishments feel more meaningful. You begin to wake up with clarity instead of confusion. You approach your tasks with confidence instead of dread. You end your day feeling grounded instead of drained. This chapter is about understanding that your energy is not random. It is shaped by the choices you make. You have the power to build a life that supports you instead of draining you. You can choose habits that give you strength. You can choose routines that lift your mood. You can choose behaviors that help you grow. Your energy matters. It influences how you think, how you work, how you love, and how you live. When your energy rises, your entire life rises with it. You deserve to feel alive. You deserve to feel capable. You deserve to feel strong. Healthy daily choices make that possible. This is how you build discipline that lasts, not through force but through care, not through pressure, but through understanding. You build discipline by building energy. You build energy through the decisions you make each day. And those decisions begin now. Chapter 5. Strengthen your mind with honest self-talk. There comes a point in every journey where the real challenge is not the work in front of you, but the voice inside you. That voice shapes how you act, how you react, and how you carry yourself. It decides whether you rise or step back. It decides whether you hold your standard or drop it. And the truth is simple: if your private voice is weak, your discipline will be weak. If your private voice is clear, honest, and firm, you can handle far more than you imagine. Your mind listens to every word you speak to yourself, even the quiet ones you never say out loud. When you wake up in the morning, your mind pays attention to how you greet the day. When you face stress, your mind studies the tone you use with yourself. When you fail, your mind watches whether you blame yourself or guide yourself back up. This is why honest self-talk becomes one of the strongest tools you can ever use. It builds a steady inner world where discipline can grow without fear, without excuses, and without confusion. Honest self-talk is not about being harsh. It is not about tearing yourself down. It is the opposite. It is choosing truth over emotional reactions. It is choosing calm direction instead of self-punishment. It is choosing responsibility instead of avoidance. And once you practice it long enough, you begin to feel something powerful, the sense that you can trust yourself even during difficult days. You can feel it in your breathing. You can feel it in the way you carry your shoulders. You can feel it in the way you move through the day, without that heavy cloud of pressure sitting on your chest. Honest self-talk opens space inside you. It lets you live with more peace, more strength, and more emotional maturity. So how do you build it? You start by paying attention to the kinds of things you say to yourself during the small moments. For example, think about the last time you wanted to get something done, but felt tired or distracted. What did you say to yourself? Did you say, "This is too much," or "I don't feel like doing this," or "I'll handle it later"? That type of talk gently pushes you away from responsibility. It feeds the habit of avoiding what matters. Now think about a moment when you spoke honestly to yourself. Maybe you said, "I don't want to do this right now, but it needs to be done," or "I feel uncomfortable, but I can manage this," or "I'm not in the mood, but finishing this will help me." That tone creates clarity. It gives you direction. It pulls you toward discipline instead of away from it. Honest self-talk works because it breaks through the emotional fog that builds in your mind. When you speak truthfully, you separate feelings from decisions. You can still feel tired, but you act with responsibility. You can feel pressure, but you respond with patience. You can feel fear, but you move forward with steady steps. A strong mind is built through these simple but powerful moments of inner communication. Another place where honest self-talk matters is when you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. You are not the only one who has failed or taken the slow path or hesitated. What matters is the way you speak to yourself afterward. Some people attack themselves. They use cold, heavy words. They tear their confidence apart. They create a mental environment where they cannot grow, because the moment they fall, their inner voice becomes unbearable. This makes consistency almost impossible. But when you practice honest self-talk, the tone changes. You can acknowledge your mistake without harming your self-worth. You can say, "I made the wrong choice today. I know I can do better tomorrow. I will fix this." That kind of talk directs you forward. It gives you responsibility with compassion. It builds discipline without punishing your mind. Think about the emotions that come with that kind of honesty. You feel grounded instead of ashamed. You feel calm instead of panicked. You feel capable instead of defeated. These small shifts reshape your whole life because they shape the way you encounter challenges. Honest self-talk also strengthens your ability to stay focused. When your thoughts are scattered, your decisions become scattered too. But when you talk to yourself clearly, your mind settles. You create mental structure. You create order. You create a sense of control over your choices. For example, you may notice your attention drifting during an important task. With honest self-talk, you would say something like, "My focus is slipping. I need a short break, and then I will come back and finish this." Those words are simple, but they guide you back into control. They give you a plan. They stop you from falling into frustration or avoidance. This kind of inner voice is not born overnight. It takes practice. It takes patience. It takes a willingness to face your own thoughts without running from them. But every time you choose honesty, your mind becomes stronger. You may even notice these changes in your body. Your breathing becomes steadier. Your muscles feel less tense. Your chest feels lighter. Your thoughts stop racing as often. You move into the day without the same level of emotional noise that used to overwhelm you. Another important part of honest self-talk is the willingness to speak to yourself with the same respect you would give someone you care about. You would not scream at a friend for struggling. You would not tear down someone who is trying to improve. You would not shame someone who is learning. You would guide them. You would support them. You would speak gently but firmly. You deserve that same treatment from yourself. Respecting yourself through your words trains you to value your own effort. That value becomes the foundation of discipline. When you value yourself, you stop treating your days casually. You stop making excuses. You stop ignoring your goals. You start showing up with intention. Honest self-talk also helps you improve your emotional strength. When something stresses you, you can talk yourself through the feeling instead of letting it take control. For example, if you feel anxious, you can say, "I feel uncomfortable right now. I need a moment to breathe, but I know I can get through this." That single sentence can calm your entire system. It gives your mind direction. It gives your emotions space to move without overwhelming you. Over time, this builds resilience. You can handle pressure more easily. You can handle change more calmly. You can handle setbacks without breaking down. You become someone who stands steady, not because life is easy, but because you have trained your inner voice to guide you through every moment with clarity and truth. This chapter also invites you to create a habit of checking in with yourself each day. You do not need long journaling sessions or complicated routines. You only need a few honest sentences spoken quietly to yourself in the morning or before bed. Something simple like, "This is what I need to focus on today," or "This is what I learned from my day." These short check-ins build awareness. Awareness strengthens discipline, and discipline strengthens your entire lifestyle. As you grow in this practice, you begin to feel a shift inside you. You stop reacting to life without thinking. You start responding with intention. You become more patient. You become more confident. You become more responsible. You stop feeling controlled by stress. You stop feeling pushed around by your emotions. You start feeling like you are living from a stronger place. Honest self-talk is a daily choice. It is a skill you refine through real effort. But once it becomes part of your life, everything else becomes easier. Your goals, your habits, your progress, your discipline, your calmness, they all grow from the strength of the words you use on yourself. You deserve a mind that supports you. You deserve an inner voice that guides you instead of holding you back. And you have the power to build that voice through honesty, patience, and consistency. This is how you strengthen your mind. This is how you build a lifestyle grounded in discipline and self-respect. This is how you become someone who moves forward with purpose every single day. Chapter 6. Train yourself to finish what you start. Every person has ideas, plans, and projects they never complete. Every person knows the frustration of starting something with energy, only to let it fade before it reaches the finish line. This is not a problem of talent or intelligence. It is not a problem of luck or opportunity. The problem is focus, consistency, and training yourself to finish what you start. Finishing what you begin is not about forcing yourself to work endlessly. It is about building a mindset, habits, and systems that make completion natural. When you develop this skill, your life changes, your confidence grows, your progress multiplies. You stop wasting energy, time, and potential. Most people underestimate the power of finishing. They celebrate starting. They enjoy the excitement of beginning. But the real growth, the real results come from following through. Completion matters more than intention. Completion matters more than motivation. Completion matters more than how perfect the start is. The first step in learning to finish is understanding why you stop. Often it is not because you lack ability. It is because your mind looks for comfort. Your emotions resist effort. You get bored. You feel overwhelmed. You lose clarity, or you allow distractions to pull you away. If you never examine why you abandon projects, you will continue repeating the same patterns. Awareness is the foundation of change. You need to see when you start to drift and recognize the signs that you are at risk of quitting. For example, notice when your energy drops. Notice when your focus slips. Notice when you begin to make excuses. These signals are not weaknesses. They are opportunities. They tell you exactly where you need to strengthen your discipline. Next, commit to completing tasks even when motivation fades. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. You cannot depend on feeling inspired to finish what matters. True discipline is about acting even when your emotions do not agree. You can begin small, pick a single task and decide you will finish it no matter what. No exceptions. Not only when it feels easy. Not only when your mind is excited. You decide completion matters more than comfort. Breaking tasks into clear, manageable steps helps as well. Large projects can feel overwhelming, and the mind looks for escape. By dividing your work into smaller, achievable actions, you reduce resistance. Every completed step creates momentum. Every step reinforces the habit of finishing. Momentum is built through consistency. Completing small actions daily, even when progress feels slow, trains your brain to value completion. Your mind begins to associate starting with finishing. You develop trust in yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. Accountability is another tool. While the ultimate responsibility is yours, having external accountability can reinforce your habit of finishing. Share your goals with someone who will notice your effort. Commit to deadlines. Report your progress. Accountability creates pressure in a productive way, encouraging you to follow through instead of drifting. Equally important is learning to manage your attention. Distractions are the enemy of completion. Every interruption pulls your energy away from what matters. When you start something, guard your focus as if it were your most valuable resource. Silence notifications, remove unnecessary temptations, and create a space where your mind can work undisturbed. Embrace the discomfort that comes with effort. Completing what you start is rarely easy. It often requires persistence when your body and mind want rest. It requires patience when progress is slow. It requires resilience when challenges appear. Discomfort is part of the process. The people who finish are not those who avoid difficulty. They are those who continue despite it. Self-talk is a critical factor in finishing. The words you say to yourself during effort determine whether you persist or quit. Honest self-talk encourages perseverance. You remind yourself that you can manage, that every step matters, and that completion is more important than ease. Avoid negative self-talk that undermines your confidence. Speak firmly, clearly, and truthfully. Tracking progress helps too. Completion becomes easier when you can see how far you have gone. Recording actions, marking steps, and celebrating even small milestones provides visible proof that effort matters. This reinforces your inner belief that finishing is achievable. Another key element is aligning your tasks with purpose. When you know why a task matters, it becomes harder to abandon. Your reason for completing something must be stronger than your desire for comfort or distraction. Every task you commit to should connect to your larger goals, values, or responsibilities. Purpose fuels persistence. Purpose sustains effort when motivation disappears. You also need to avoid overcommitting. Some people fail to finish because they start too many things at once. Focus on fewer tasks but commit fully to finishing them. Completing one thing consistently is more valuable than beginning many things incompletely. Depth matters more than breadth when building a lifestyle of discipline. Patience is another component. Finishing takes time. Your brain and body will resist, especially if you are building new habits. Expect challenges. Expect moments of doubt. Expect fatigue. Do not judge yourself for these experiences. They are part of the process. What matters is returning to the task step by step until completion is achieved. Sometimes finishing requires adjustment, not avoidance. If a task becomes difficult due to unforeseen circumstances, you do not quit. You adapt. You find another path. You refine your approach. Finishing is not about blind persistence, it is about smart persistence. You continue moving toward completion, even if the path changes. Every finished task builds confidence. Every project completed reinforces your belief in yourself. You no longer doubt your ability to see things through. You begin to carry this mindset into every area of life. Completing small actions becomes the standard. Completing big actions becomes the habit. Completing what you start becomes your identity. Completion also shapes your environment. When you finish tasks, your surroundings reflect accomplishment instead of clutter. Your mind feels lighter. Your responsibilities feel manageable. Your sense of control grows. The physical and mental clarity that comes from finishing is a feedback loop that strengthens discipline further. Finishing teaches responsibility. It reminds you that your actions have consequences. When you start something, you own it until the end. You accept the results of your effort, whether success or learning. You do not leave gaps in your life that require endless repair. Completion instills integrity in your daily actions. Over time, training yourself to finish transforms your life. You become more reliable, more consistent, and more capable. Challenges feel manageable because you have built a pattern of seeing things through. Your confidence grows because you have proof of your ability. Your habits strengthen because your brain begins to value persistence over distraction. Finishing is a skill. It is a mindset. It is a habit. And like any skill, it requires practice, repetition, and patience. You will stumble. You will quit sometimes. But the practice itself is progress. Every attempt reinforces your capacity to complete the next task. You are capable of finishing. You are capable of following through. You are capable of building a life where your actions match your intentions. Every step completed, every project finished, every task followed through, builds momentum that carries into the next. Completion is not optional. It is the foundation of progress, confidence, and true discipline. It is the difference between a life of half-finished ideas and a life of meaningful results. Train yourself to finish what you start. Build systems that support follow-through. Protect your focus. Speak honestly to yourself. Celebrate progress. Adjust when necessary. Persist through discomfort. Align your actions with purpose. Commit deeply even when motivation fades. Every completed task is proof that you can achieve more than you believed. Every finished project strengthens the habits that define your lifestyle. Every time you see something through, you grow stronger, more capable, and more disciplined. Your life is built on the actions you finish, not just the ones you begin. Completion is the key to turning effort into results, goals into achievements, and potential into reality. Training yourself to finish what you start is one of the most powerful steps toward a disciplined life. It is the skill that turns intention into reality and sets the foundation for a lifestyle built on action, focus, and personal responsibility. Chapter 7. Learn to slow down when you feel overwhelmed. Life often moves faster than most people realize. Responsibilities pile up, tasks multiply, and pressure builds. At some point, almost everyone reaches a moment of overwhelm. The mind feels crowded. The body feels tense. Decisions become heavy. Motivation drops. And when this happens, the natural instinct is to push harder, to rush, to force results. But pushing faster in a state of overwhelm rarely helps. It creates mistakes, stress, and exhaustion. Learning to slow down when you feel overwhelmed is one of the most important skills for building discipline that lasts. It is not about avoiding work. It is not about taking the easy way out. It is about regaining control over your mind, body, and actions so you can move forward without breaking yourself in the process. When you slow down, you allow clarity to return. You allow focus to strengthen. You allow calm and control to replace chaos. And when your mind feels steady, you make better decisions, work more efficiently, and maintain energy for the long term. The first step is recognizing the signs of overwhelm. Many people ignore the early signals. They push through tension, fatigue, and scattered thoughts until it becomes a crisis. Recognizing overwhelm early prevents it from growing into stress that is harder to manage. Some common signs include rapid thoughts, irritability, restlessness, inability to focus, shallow breathing, tense muscles, headaches, or constant fatigue. When these appear, it is a signal from your body and mind that something needs to change. Overwhelm is not weakness. It is information. It tells you to slow down, reassess, and respond thoughtfully. Slowing down begins with breathing. When the body is tense, the mind is tense. The heart beats faster. The muscles tighten. Decisions feel harder. Taking intentional deep breaths calms the nervous system. It signals to your body that you are safe and capable. It creates space for thought. Even a few deep breaths can reset your state and help you regain control over your reactions. Next is creating a pause in action. When tasks feel heavy or your mind is crowded, stopping momentarily allows perspective. Step back. Look at what is in front of you, assess the situation, decide what is urgent, what can wait, and what does not need your energy right now. Pausing does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means approaching it with clarity and strategy. Breaking tasks into smaller steps is essential during overwhelm. Large projects or responsibilities can feel impossible when your mind is overloaded. Dividing them into clear, manageable actions makes progress achievable. Each completed step reduces pressure. Each small success reinforces the habit of consistent action without unnecessary stress. Prioritization becomes critical. Not everything demands immediate attention. Overwhelm often comes from trying to address too much at once. Learn to identify what matters most. Focus your energy on high-value actions. Move less important tasks to later. When you prioritize, you regain control of your time and mental space. Another important part of slowing down is self-talk. When you are overwhelmed, your mind may spiral with pressure, fear, or frustration. The voice inside you can either intensify stress or calm it. Speak to yourself clearly and honestly. Remind yourself that you are capable. Remind yourself that progress is built step by step. Remind yourself that slowing down is a strategy, not a failure. Managing energy is another critical aspect. Overwhelm often comes from mental and physical depletion. When your body is tired and your mind is overworked, everything feels harder. Eating nourishing food, staying hydrated, and moving your body gently can restore focus and strength. Even a short walk or a few minutes of stretching can release tension and allow your brain to work more efficiently. Setting boundaries also supports slowing down. Sometimes overwhelm comes from saying yes to too many demands. Protecting your time and attention ensures that you can focus on what matters most. You do not need to respond immediately to every request. You do not need to take responsibility for every problem at the same time. Setting boundaries is a form of discipline that preserves your capacity to act effectively. Reflection is another tool. Take a moment to ask yourself why you feel overwhelmed. Is it because you are trying to do too much? Is it because you are unclear about priorities? Is it because of fear or perfectionism? Understanding the source allows you to address it directly instead of reacting emotionally. Slowing down also involves accepting limitations. You cannot control everything. You cannot finish every task perfectly. You cannot carry endless responsibilities without rest. Accepting these limits is not giving up. It is acting responsibly. It allows you to focus on what you can manage and to perform at your best without self-punishment. During periods of overwhelm, structured routines become especially valuable. When your day has patterns and structure, slowing down becomes easier. You know what comes next. You know when to act and when to pause. You know where your energy should be directed. Structure supports calm in moments of chaos. Another important practice is reflection after the overwhelming period passes. Look at what caused the feeling. Identify patterns. Adjust your routines, priorities, and habits to reduce future overwhelm. Growth comes from understanding, not just enduring. Slowing down does not mean avoiding action. In fact, it increases your efficiency. When you act from a state of calm and clarity, your decisions are sharper, your work is more precise, and your energy is used wisely. Rushing through tasks creates mistakes, waste, and unnecessary stress. Slowing down ensures that every action is purposeful. When you practice slowing down regularly, your mindset changes. You stop panicking under pressure. You stop reacting impulsively. You start approaching challenges with steady focus. You become more resilient because you know how to manage tension and restore control. Slowing down also strengthens discipline. It allows you to act thoughtfully, not impulsively. It gives your mind time to align with your goals. It ensures that your effort is consistent and sustainable. Discipline is not just about pushing forward relentlessly. It is also about knowing when to pause, reset, and move intentionally. Another factor is patience. Overwhelm often comes from the desire to do everything now. Training yourself to slow down requires patience with yourself and the process. Results do not appear instantly. Progress takes time. Each step taken deliberately and consistently adds up to meaningful change. Finally, slowing down is about self-respect. When you acknowledge your limits, take care of your energy, and manage your focus, you send a message to yourself: your effort matters. Your mind matters. Your health matters. Your progress matters. You do not have to sacrifice your well-being to succeed. Slowing down allows you to achieve without burning out. Mastering the ability to slow down transforms your entire approach to life. You no longer feel controlled by pressure. You no longer feel trapped by endless tasks. You move through each day with clarity, balance, and strength. You make better decisions. You maintain energy. You build discipline that lasts because it is sustainable. When you learn to slow down when you feel overwhelmed, you gain control over your mind, your energy, and your life. You transform a chaotic, stressful environment into one where growth is possible. You develop resilience, focus, and consistency. You create the space needed to turn effort into results. Slowing down is not a weakness. It is a strategy. It is a skill. It is a way to protect your capacity for action. And when you master it, you will find that your progress accelerates, your stress decreases, and your life moves forward with clarity, control, and purpose. Your discipline grows stronger when you allow yourself to slow down. Your focus becomes sharper. Your energy becomes steadier. Your life becomes more manageable. And your results become real, lasting, and meaningful. Chapter 8. Build a lifestyle that matches your values. A life that feels chaotic, unfulfilled, or out of balance often happens when our actions do not align with what we truly value. You can work hard, push yourself, and follow routines. But if your daily choices do not reflect your principles, you will feel disconnected from your own life. Building a lifestyle that matches your values is not a matter of perfection. It is a matter of consistency, awareness, and intentional choices. Values are the core beliefs that guide your decisions. They define what matters to you. They are not determined by society, other people's expectations, or fleeting trends. They are deeply personal. When your lifestyle reflects these values, your actions feel purposeful. You stop acting against yourself. You begin to create days that support your goals, your growth, and your well-being. The first step is clarity. You cannot build a lifestyle aligned with your values if you are not certain what they are. Take a moment to examine what matters most to you. Ask yourself, what principles do I want to guide my decisions? What kind of person do I want to become? What do I refuse to compromise on? Your values may include honesty, responsibility, health, growth, family, faith, learning, or integrity. They may be simple or complex, but they should be authentic to you. They are not what you think others want you to prioritize. They are what you believe is essential to living a meaningful life. Once you know your values, examine your current lifestyle. Look at your daily habits, routines, work, relationships, and environment. Do these align with what you consider most important, or are they inconsistent with your principles? This step requires brutal honesty. Avoid sugarcoating or rationalizing. The truth is the only way to identify what needs to change. Many people live in conflict with their values without realizing it. They may spend hours on tasks that do not support their goals. They may tolerate relationships that drain them. They may neglect their health, education, or growth in ways that contradict what they claim to care about. Recognizing these inconsistencies is the first step toward realignment. After you identify the gaps, focus on creating habits and routines that support your values. For example, if one of your values is health, ensure that your daily choices include proper nutrition, movement, and rest. If learning is a value, dedicate time each day to reading, listening, or practicing new skills. If family is important, schedule meaningful interactions and prioritize presence over distractions. Building a lifestyle around your values requires conscious decision-making. It means choosing actions that reflect who you want to be, even when it is inconvenient. Values guide priorities. They determine where you invest your energy, time, and focus. Every choice that reflects your values strengthens your character and your sense of integrity. Consistency is key. You cannot align your lifestyle with your values sporadically. It must be repeated in your daily routines. Small decisions compound over time. Eating well once does not make you healthy. Ignoring distractions once does not make you disciplined. Living in alignment requires showing up for yourself every day, making choices that reinforce your principles, and refusing to compromise on what matters. Environment plays a significant role in supporting a values-based lifestyle. Surround yourself with people, spaces, and influences that encourage your principles. Relationships that drain your energy or promote behaviors contrary to your values should be reconsidered. Spaces that are cluttered, distracting, or chaotic make consistency harder. Aligning your environment with your values creates a framework that supports sustainable discipline. Financial choices also reflect values. How you manage money reveals your priorities. Overspending on unnecessary items, neglecting savings, or investing in short-term pleasures at the expense of long-term goals can contradict your principles. Aligning financial habits with your values strengthens your sense of responsibility and supports the life you want to build. Time management is another area where alignment matters. Time is your most valuable resource. How you spend it shows what you truly value. Commit to daily schedules that reflect your priorities. Avoid filling your day with tasks that do not support your principles. Protect your time for what is meaningful. Each hour, aligned with your values, reinforces discipline, purpose, and control. Self-reflection is an essential tool in this process. Regularly evaluate whether your actions continue to match your values. Life changes, priorities shift, and external pressures appear. Honest self-assessment ensures that you stay aligned, make adjustments when necessary, and continue to grow in a direction that feels authentic and intentional. This approach also requires courage. It is easy to follow routines that are convenient or accepted by others. It is harder to make choices that reflect your principles, especially when they require saying no, standing alone, or changing habits. Living in alignment with your values demands consistency, focus, and courage to prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. Discipline and values are deeply connected. Discipline without values is mechanical. It can produce temporary results, but it does not sustain fulfillment. Values without discipline remain intentions. They do not manifest in meaningful action. When discipline and values work together, every choice, action, and habit becomes purposeful. Your lifestyle becomes a reflection of your principles, and your principles shape your growth. Another important aspect is balance. Aligning your lifestyle with your values does not mean neglecting practicality or flexibility. Life is dynamic, and sometimes adjustments are necessary. However, these adjustments should be intentional, not reactive. Prioritize flexibility that supports your values, not compromise that undermines them. Emotional alignment is also part of this process. When your daily actions reflect your principles, you experience a sense of internal consistency. Your emotions stabilize. You stop feeling conflicted. You gain confidence in your decisions because they are grounded in what matters most. This emotional clarity reduces stress and enhances resilience. Accountability strengthens alignment. Share your principles and goals with someone who understands and supports your values. Reporting your progress, discussing challenges, and receiving feedback reinforce commitment. Accountability creates external structure that supports internal consistency, making it easier to maintain alignment even when challenges arise. Living in alignment with your values is not a destination, it is a daily practice. Each day presents opportunities to reflect, choose and act according to your principles. Some days will be stronger than others. Some choices will be imperfect. The key is continued awareness and consistent effort. Over time, these small actions compound into a lifestyle that is fully integrated with who you are and what you care about. A values-based lifestyle also builds confidence and purpose. When your actions consistently match your principles, you gain trust in yourself. You no longer feel torn between competing priorities. You no longer feel uncertain about your choices. Every action becomes meaningful. Every decision reinforces your growth. Finally, aligning your lifestyle with your values strengthens every area of your life. Your health, relationships, work, learning, and personal growth all improve when your daily actions reflect your principles. Discipline becomes natural because your environment, habits and mindset support the life you want to live. You have the ability to design a lifestyle that mirrors your values. It requires clarity, honesty, consistency, courage, and reflection. It requires aligning actions with principles, protecting your time and energy, and building habits that reinforce your growth. A life built around values is steady, purposeful, and resilient. It allows you to act with confidence, face challenges without losing direction, and progress without unnecessary stress. It is a lifestyle where discipline is not a burden but a natural extension of who you are. Every day you act in alignment with your values, you reinforce the life you want to live. Every choice matters, every habit matters, every action builds momentum toward a lifestyle that supports your growth, integrity, and fulfillment. Building a lifestyle that matches your values is not a one-time effort. It is a daily commitment. It is the foundation for meaningful results, lasting discipline, and a life that feels intentional, steady, and whole. Chapter 9. Keep a simple record of your growth. Progress is easy to overlook when you live day by day. Tasks are completed, challenges are faced, and routines are followed, yet the sense of growth can feel invisible. That is why keeping a simple record of your growth is essential. Discipline, consistency, and effort are meaningful, but without tracking, you risk underestimating yourself or losing direction. Recording your growth allows you to see the results of your work, understand your patterns, and stay motivated through every stage of your journey. A record does not need to be complicated. It does not need to involve elaborate charts, apps, or journals filled with pages of notes. It only needs to be clear, honest, and consistent. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. The goal is to create a space where you can reflect on your progress, learn from mistakes, and recognize successes. Keeping a record starts with defining what growth means for you. Growth is not a single universal measure. It differs from person to person. For some, growth is completing tasks consistently. For others, it is mastering a skill, improving health, or strengthening relationships. For others, it is developing discipline, focus, or mental resilience. Understanding what you want to measure allows you to create a meaningful record. Once you know what matters, decide how you will track it. This could be a simple daily note, a checklist, a log of accomplishments, or a journal entry at the end of each day. The key is simplicity and consistency. If the process is too complicated, it becomes another task you avoid. A record should make your life easier, not add unnecessary stress. Recording growth also strengthens accountability. When you put your actions on paper or in a digital format, you no longer rely solely on memory. You can see clearly what you have done, what remains, and where adjustments are needed. Accountability is not about judgment, it is about clarity. It is about recognizing patterns and making intentional choices for improvement. Tracking growth allows reflection on both achievements and challenges. Successes provide motivation, proof that effort leads to results. Mistakes provide lessons, insight into what needs to change, and opportunities to refine your approach. Recording both allows for a balanced perspective and prevents your focus from being limited to only victories or only failures. A simple record can also strengthen consistency. When you document your progress daily, you create a visible commitment. You see your actions build upon each other. You begin to understand that growth is not about isolated moments of effort, but about repetition over time. Consistency becomes tangible because you can observe it. Another benefit of tracking is perspective. Life moves quickly. Without records, you may forget how far you have come. Small steps often feel insignificant when experienced daily, but when documented, they reveal a clear trajectory. Seeing cumulative progress reminds you that effort accumulates and that your dedication produces measurable change. Emotional awareness is another dimension of growth records. Writing down your experiences, feelings, and reactions helps you recognize emotional patterns. When frustration arises, you can see what triggered it. When energy is high, you can see what contributed to it. Honest reflection about your mindset helps build mental clarity and resilience, strengthening your ability to manage challenges. Keeping a simple record also supports planning. By observing your progress, you can identify what works and what does not. You can make informed adjustments to routines, habits, and priorities. A record is a mirror for your actions, providing feedback that guides future decisions. Without this clarity, you risk repeating the same mistakes or missing opportunities for improvement. The format of a growth record should match your lifestyle. Some people prefer pen and paper. Some prefer digital tools. Some like brief bullet points. Others prefer full paragraphs. The method is not as important as the consistency. Every day, take time to record meaningful details about your actions, results, and mindset. Over time, these entries create a comprehensive picture of your journey. Simplicity is key. Avoid overwhelming yourself with too much detail. Focus on what matters most. For example, if your goal is building discipline, note the tasks completed, challenges faced, and how you responded. If your goal is learning, record new skills acquired or insights gained. Capture the essence of your growth without adding unnecessary complexity. Another essential aspect is honesty. Growth records are not for appearances. They are not to impress anyone else. They are for your clarity and improvement. Record both achievements and failures. Truthfully, acknowledge what worked, what did not, and how you can improve. Honest documentation strengthens self-awareness and builds real accountability. Tracking your growth also reinforces discipline. When you see your progress, even in small steps, it motivates you to continue. The simple act of noting an accomplishment validates your effort. It demonstrates that every decision, every action, every effort matters. You begin to associate consistent action with tangible results, reinforcing your commitment to discipline. Growth records also allow long-term reflection. Months or years later, you can review your notes and see the evolution of your abilities, mindset, and habits. This historical perspective provides confidence and perspective. You can see that challenges were overcome, skills were developed, and progress was continuous. It proves that the work you put in was not wasted. Another advantage of keeping records is clarity during decision-making. When you face new choices, reviewing past growth provides insight. You can see what strategies were effective, what habits supported success, and what pitfalls to avoid. Decisions become easier because they are guided by evidence, not guesswork or emotional reaction. A growth record also supports goal setting. By observing patterns of achievement and challenge, you can set realistic, meaningful, and progressive goals. You understand what is attainable and how to structure your actions to produce consistent results. Without documentation, goals often remain abstract, and progress is harder to measure. Finally, growth records create self-respect. They show you that your effort matters. They prove to yourself that you are capable of improvement, learning, and achievement. They strengthen your belief in your ability to create meaningful change. When discipline is visible in writing, it reinforces the inner confidence needed to maintain momentum. A simple record of growth is a tool that anyone can use. It does not require skill, resources, or complicated systems. It requires attention, honesty, and commitment. Every day, you note what you accomplished, what challenged you, and what you learned. Over time, this small habit produces clarity, motivation, and measurable progress. Keeping a record transforms discipline from abstract effort into visible results. It connects daily choices to long-term goals. It strengthens focus, accountability, and consistency. It allows reflection, learning, and adjustment. It provides perspective, motivation, and confidence. In short, a simple record of growth is one of the most effective ways to support a disciplined, intentional lifestyle. It makes effort tangible, progress visible, and discipline sustainable. It is a practice that turns everyday action into meaningful results. When you begin documenting growth consistently, you gain insight, clarity, and control. You see how effort compounds. You understand how habits shape outcomes. You learn from mistakes. You celebrate successes. You build the confidence to continue pursuing improvement. A life guided by growth records is a life grounded in awareness and discipline. It is a life where effort leads to results. It is a life where you can measure your progress, strengthen your habits, and trust in your capacity to develop. Keeping a simple record of your growth is not optional. It is an essential practice for anyone committed to building a disciplined, intentional, and meaningful life. Every note you write strengthens your focus, reinforces your actions, and supports your long-term success. Chapter 10. Live every day with a sense of personal responsibility. Every choice you make has a consequence. Every action you take affects your life and often the lives of others. Living with a sense of personal responsibility is one of the most important habits you can develop because it shifts your mindset from blame and excuses to ownership and control. Personal responsibility is not about perfection or never making mistakes. It is about acknowledging your role in your life and taking deliberate steps to manage it with integrity, focus, and consistency. When you live responsibly, you recognize that you cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can control how you respond. Circumstances, other people, and unexpected events will always be part of life, but the way you act and the decisions you make are entirely within your control. This awareness gives you power. It transforms you from someone who reacts to life into someone who shapes it. The first step is honesty with yourself. You must be willing to see your actions clearly, without excuses or rationalizations. When a project fails, when you make a mistake, or when a goal is missed, take responsibility for your role. Ask yourself, what could I have done differently? What did I control, and what was outside my control? Honest reflection builds clarity and prevents repeated mistakes. Living with responsibility also requires commitment. Every day presents countless opportunities to act responsibly or avoid accountability. Simple actions, like following through on promises, completing tasks, managing your time, and honoring your agreements, all reinforce your ability to take ownership of your life. The small choices accumulate, forming the foundation for larger achievements. A responsible mindset reduces blame. When something goes wrong, it is easy to point fingers at circumstances, other people, or bad luck. But blaming removes control. It keeps you stuck and powerless. Taking responsibility redirects your focus to solutions. It emphasizes action over complaint and progress over stagnation. The moment you accept responsibility, you regain control over the outcome. Responsibility also strengthens self-discipline. When you understand that your results are directly tied to your choices, you take your actions more seriously. You plan your day intentionally. You prioritize tasks that matter. You refuse to waste time or energy on things that do not contribute to your goals. Discipline becomes natural because you see the direct impact of your effort. Another important aspect is consistency. Personal responsibility is built over time through repeated actions. One day of effort is not enough to create lasting change. Consistently showing up, completing tasks, and honoring commitments trains your mind to act with integrity. It builds trust in yourself. You begin to rely on your own ability to follow through, even when motivation is low. Living responsibly also involves accountability to others. While your internal commitment is crucial, being answerable to people around you reinforces this habit. When you hold yourself accountable to someone else, whether in work, relationships, or personal goals, you strengthen your discipline and reliability. Accountability ensures that responsibility is not abstract. It is concrete, observable, and measurable. Decision-making is another area where responsibility plays a central role. Every day, choices arise that affect your life. Living responsibly requires evaluating options carefully, considering the consequences, and making decisions based on integrity and long-term goals rather than convenience or short-term pleasure. Decisions become deliberate rather than reactive. Time management is closely tied to personal responsibility. Your time is your most valuable resource, and how you use it determines your progress. A responsible mindset prioritizes important tasks, schedules work efficiently, and avoids procrastination. Every hour used intentionally reinforces your control over your life and strengthens your ability to meet commitments. Responsibility also extends to your health and well-being. How you eat, how you move, how you rest, all reflect choices that impact your energy, focus, and ability to perform. Owning these choices means you do not rely on luck or circumstance for your vitality. You actively manage your body, your mind, and your energy. Handling setbacks with responsibility is essential. Life will present obstacles, failures, and challenges. A responsible person does not give in to excuses or self-pity. Instead, they assess what went wrong, determine what they can do differently, and take corrective action. Responsibility allows you to face setbacks with control, learn from mistakes, and continue moving forward. Personal responsibility also enhances relationships. People trust those who own their actions, admit mistakes, and follow through on commitments. Being responsible in relationships means listening, honoring agreements, communicating clearly, and supporting others consistently. Trust and respect grow naturally when responsibility is a core habit. Financial choices reflect personal responsibility as well. Managing income, budgeting, saving, and investing are all acts of ownership over your life. When you take responsibility for your finances, you avoid unnecessary stress, create security, and ensure that your resources support your values and goals. Living responsibly requires emotional control. You cannot control every event, but you can control your reactions. Responsibility means acknowledging emotions without letting them dictate actions. Anger, frustration, or fear may arise, but the way you respond determines the outcome. A responsible person manages emotions, acts deliberately, and avoids impulsive decisions that create setbacks. Self-reflection is an ongoing part of personal responsibility. At the end of each day, examine your actions, decisions, and results. Ask yourself, did I act with integrity? Did I honor my commitments? What could I have done better? This practice strengthens self-awareness, reinforces accountability, and encourages continuous improvement. Responsibility also requires courage. It is easier to avoid accountability, shift blame, or take the path of least resistance. True responsibility demands honesty, action, and persistence. It means addressing mistakes, facing challenges head-on, and making the hard decisions even when they are uncomfortable. Courage and responsibility are inseparable. Living every day with personal responsibility transforms your mindset. You no longer feel controlled by circumstances. You no longer feel powerless when challenges arise. Instead, you see your life as a series of choices, each one an opportunity to act with integrity, discipline, and purpose. You gain confidence because you know your results are tied to your effort and decisions. Discipline and responsibility reinforce each other. Discipline ensures that you follow through on commitments, manage your time, and act consistently. Responsibility ensures that you own the outcomes, learn from mistakes, and improve over time. Together, they form the foundation for a lifestyle of growth, purpose, and control. Every action you take contributes to your life story. Living responsibly means shaping that story intentionally. You do not leave your life to chance, distractions, or external pressures. You actively design your day, your habits, and your choices in alignment with your goals and values. Responsibility also builds resilience. When you own your actions, setbacks become lessons instead of excuses. Challenges become opportunities to refine your approach instead of reasons to quit. Resilience emerges naturally when you face life with accountability, clarity, and deliberate action. Personal responsibility is not limited to major decisions or visible achievements. It is present in every small choice: finishing tasks, speaking honestly, showing up on time, maintaining focus, and honoring commitments. Small acts of responsibility accumulate into larger success and personal integrity. Living every day with responsibility strengthens self-trust. You begin to believe in your ability to handle challenges, make decisions, and create meaningful results. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence, discipline, and long-term growth. It ensures that you rely on your ability to act rather than on luck or external validation. Finally, personal responsibility creates freedom. When you own your choices and actions, you are no longer controlled by circumstances, excuses, or others' opinions. You gain autonomy over your life. You can make decisions, take action, and pursue goals without hesitation. Responsibility is the gateway to true independence and self-determination. Living a life defined by personal responsibility is not easy. It requires honesty, courage, discipline, and consistency. It demands reflection, intentional action, and ownership of both successes and failures. But the rewards are immense. Confidence, trust, integrity, resilience, and freedom all stem from living responsibly. Every day presents countless opportunities to exercise responsibility. Every decision, action, and effort matters. By embracing personal responsibility, you take control of your life, strengthen your discipline, and build a lifestyle grounded in integrity, purpose, and meaningful results. The practice of living responsibly turns potential into reality. It ensures that effort leads to growth, challenges build strength, and choices shape the life you want to live. Personal responsibility is not just a habit, it is the foundation of a disciplined, intentional, and fulfilling life.